So I was set free, but wait, there's more. Because of that sound that of the plane happened, that when the demon came, every time a plane would go over my house, I'd be terrified. I'd be so scared that like it would happen again. And actually, after the confession, I went to the front of the church and I prayed and I said, Jesus, is this ever going to happen again to me? And he said no. Like, I heard his voice again. And I actually was just like this little, like, I don't know, wise ass, for lack of a better term. I'm like, it better not. Like, so Jesus basically, he made this promise that that kind of thing would never happen again. Like, I would never get a visitation from a demon again, which was very helpful. But even so, like, when I heard a sound like a plane going over my house, I would get so scared. I mean, I went through this trauma for years. And now here's another thing that's so interesting. Remember I said that there was like scratching sounds? One day I go over by my windowsill and like it was made out of, back then, like they were made out of wood. And inside of the wood, there were like these deep scratches inside of the wood, as if there were like claws there. And then I look down and I see a name scratched out on the bottom. I'm like, oh wow, it left like its name. And I looked at it and I almost like fell back. It was, my spirit was absolutely repulsed. It was just this great feeling of repulsion. So like I said, wait, there's more. I didn't realize this, that witchcraft was connected to Satan. And I started getting into witchcraft because I was like a big reader and I would always go to the library and I saw these books on spells. Like, I always wanted a boyfriend. So this was my motivation. And I would take home these books and I started doing spells. Okay, so I do this one spell and I had a crush on this guy, this boy, and we would hang out all the time, but he didn't like show interest in me. Only a friend. I really couldn't tell. I guess he only liked me as a friend. But then one day after I do the spell, he comes to my room and we start like kissing. And then all of a sudden, like after 5 minutes, he gets up and he's just like, I got to get out of here. And I was like, wow, my spell sucked. Like, it only lasted 5 minutes. And even after that, it was just so strange because nothing was said about this event. So another time I do this spell and it required me to put like something in the center of my room. So I put this lamp, like it was almost like this oil lamp. I don't even know why we had it, but it was this weird oil lamp. And I start walking around in the circle around the lamp. It was some kind of incantation. Again, I was trying to like get a boyfriend. And all of a sudden the lamp like smashes into little pieces out of nowhere. So I was like, oh, scared me again. I started getting into tarot cards. I was obsessed with going and seeing psychics. Like at that point, I was also like dating boys and wanting to know what they thought about me or if I was going to meet someone. So I would go to all the psychic fairs. I started doing tarot cards on my own. I bought a crystal ball, and one day I'm looking in this crystal ball, and I was hanging out with this girl. We were really, really close. She was a cheerleader, and I didn't really hang out with cheerleaders, but she and I got along really well. We actually would get like super wasted and drink beer together, and she was into sports, which I completely wasn't. But then we would go to the games. We would have crush on the players. Anyway, we were just really close. And I look into the crystal ball and I see the complete demise of our friendship. And I was just like so shocked. It was shocking. It was shocking because I was getting like psychic powers. And then soon after, she had developed an eating disorder. And before, I guess she had this eating disorder and I didn't realize, but she completely pushed me away. And she started getting like really mean to me and saying things to me. And I don't know if she was holding grudges against me or it was like the eating disorder. And, you know, she ended up in the hospital, I guess almost dying. But, you know, the friendship ended and that's what I saw in the crystal ball. And then I used to be able to do tarot cards for people. Like I was really getting into this. I was reading like spell books, trying all these spells, and like my identity literally was that of a witch. I also had like black hair. All I would wear is black and red lipstick, like the whole thing. Even in my high school graduation book, everything about there, like there would be people's names and underneath the names, like things about them and everything about, like everything written about me in my little narrative biography was about witchcraft. You know, I guess I thought it was cool. Now I know it's very not cool. So one day I'm sitting in my room and I hear this voice and it goes, "I've been walking to and fro, back and forth on the earth." And I didn't read the Bible then. The only time I guess I went to church was, remember, you know, I'd go with my Catholic friends. I don't even know where that came from, but I don't know if I looked it up after, but I found out that that was Satan talking to God in Job when God asks him what he's been doing, and he says, "I've been walking to and fro, back and forth on the earth." And I said, "Oh my gosh, like all this stuff that I'm doing, it's all witchcraft. Like it's all," I didn't understand that Satan was behind it. I thought like I had psychic powers and I did spells and some, I didn't understand that there's a source. So I was like, you know what? I can't believe this. Like even after that whole thing happened, and I would still, like after this thing happened with Jesus, like I talked to Jesus all the time. Like he became my best friend. That was like really special. Every night I would speak to him. I'd be so excited to speak to him at night and like tell him about my day. And meanwhile, I'm involved with, you know, witchcraft. And he had so much patience and love for me and obviously revealed that to me. So I after that I was like, I'm getting rid of everything. So I took everything. I took all my books on witchcraft. I took my crystal ball. Took my tarot cards. All of it, and I put it in a huge garbage bag and I just got rid of it. And you know, I didn't read the Bible, like I said, and I actually was very, very skeptical at first about the Bible. I was like, the Bible's not true. You know, it was written by man. I had that whole spiel going.